Hi guys, before we begin the episode, I want to tell you about an amazing website that could help you get your health back. I know that sounds like a big statement to make, and I know a lot of you out there have been concerned about your health, especially with this COVID jab, with the toxicity in there, with the shedding of the COVID vaccine. All of us are concerned. We're seeing people fall ill, die prematurely, and it's really gotten bad. There's a website that could change your life and potentially even save your life. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Just please go on there, watch the videos, sign up to watch the videos, and learn how you could get your health back to the way it was prior to COVID and even better. All right. So we got one of my favorite people here. Ivan, how you doing, sir?
Bro, amateur hour. You're not going to mic me up? You got this little microphone here?
It says America Happens. Look at that. It's
Whatever. Let's go.
By the way, Ivan doesn't return my phone calls. I mean, little personal information. So I have to track him down. His leg's not working. That's why I have him here. I had to corner him. But
Let's see here. So apparently, Vem, you sent me a text or an email.
I sent you a text.
Let me see here.
And an email.
Look.
It's all right, though, dude. You're busy saving the country. Oh, really? Then you got to text me your number, brother. Maybe I don't even have your right number.
It's not even in here. Let me look at my contacts.
Yeah.
What's going on? Fam? Oh, yeah, that's Matt.
So I guess I must have been texting the wrong person. Apologies to Ivan. I'm sorry I broke your leg for this.
Yeah, uh-huh.
At the corner and just joking.
Get in the camera, nice frame. Look at this, folks. That's my foot. It's still good. Moving around. A lot better than it was last month.
Ivan just showed me his leg and what's been going on there. He's got a rod in there, by the way. Tobogganing accident, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically, I don't know. A lot of people are telling me it was probably something more than just a tobogganing accident. Particularly, it was a few days after when I went and approached Hunter Biden and asked him what kind of crack he smoked, and that went totally viral. Remember that?
I saw that. That is awesome.
Did Hunter send his goons after you? I was like, bro, if he sent goons after me, it's either I'm dead or there are carcasses around me. Those are the only two options.
It's funny. Before the interview, Ivan's like, should I go more diplomatic or bare knuckles? And I'm like, bro, the show's called Blood Money, so up to you.
He said bare knuckles and then blood money. I'm like, well, you ever played Bloody Knuckles? Let's play. Let's do a couple rounds.
Let's do one. This is gonna suck. I'll probably bleed early. All right.
Because in case you miss,
All right, we're 14 years old again. All right.
All right, you go first.
And I got to do this basically?
Yeah.
But let me ask you something. You're saying I got to hit the knuckle.
Yeah.
So can I just go do
Try.
Okay.
Try. Go.
Oh,
right,
shit.
No, you gotta go. You keep going until you miss.
Oh, really? Oh, man. This is going to hurt so much, guys. I hope you appreciate I'm doing this because I know Ivan's got a hell of a punch. I could already feel his knuckle. Oh, shit. Oh, dude, you're tricking me. This is like you're luring me in. I feel like this is the hustler over here, and you know what I mean. I'm Paul Newman, and he's what was Jackie Gleason? You're Jackie Gleason. Oh shit! Yeah, I don't want to keep doing this, bro, because I know you're gonna hurt me.
I'll give you 3 hits.
Really?
You won't last 3 hits.
Yo, I know I won't. I know. Why don't we just do an interview, guys? No, but seriously, Ivan is, much respect to you, brother. I mean, the stuff that, people out there, I'm sure you know about Ivan and what he's been doing. He's been integral to this freedom fight. You got so many things going on.
Pronunciation, not integral, integral. It's so elegant the way you say it. The pronunciation. Integral. Yeah.
Really?
Right? You like that?
Versus.
Integral.
Oh,
yeah, I mean you can pronounce it both ways. Most people say integral, but being a guy like you from Vegas of all places, integral. I mean, you sound so erudite when you say that.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Erudite. I don't know what that means, but that sounds nice. Yeah.
Very intellectually high style.
Apparently not so much because I don't know what erudite means.
All right, let's go.
Brother, so we want to get an update on all that you've been up to, man. And I know you got a lot of things going on. You got a lot of different projects, man. Why don't you just roll with it and we'll...
No, so basically, people say, you're everywhere, you're doing this, that. It's really only 2 categories of things that I do. It's simple. I'm a simple guy. One is crushing commies, is the one category. And there's a lot of, subordinate lines of effort from there. Yeah. And then the second category is castration of the deep state. So castrate the deep state. It rhymes, right? By design.
To me, that is poetry.
Yeah, so basically that's all I do. And so pretty soon on my website, you're going to have, I'm going to be selling merch. It's called Marauder merch, right? Because I'm the deep state marauder. So we're going to have castration tools up. And then basically we're going to On one side we're gonna have castration tools and what you can use them for, and on another side you're gonna see a list of folks, which is known as the deep state target list. And we can go into all the detail that you want about the deep state. Now, before I go into the details, did you watch Tucker's interview of Mike Benz last Friday?
I haven't yet. No.
He went into institutionally who's behind the censorship industrial complex. You heard about it?
I heard about it.
Yeah, episode 75. Okay. So Mike Benz he gets it. Smart guy. Great. Thank you, Tucker, for finally airing someone like that. But I take it to the next level. Each individual, by name, date, place, and transgression, going back to, in some instances, 1973, 50 years. But in most cases, back to 2014.
Pause you there. So I got to pause you there. You're telling me you're finding people that are essentially corrupt within the system, because we've talked about the 50 intelligence folks that 51 names. We talked about, what they did is most likely treason, lying, whatever, right? You're telling me you're going down to 1973 in terms of figuring out people like those individuals you're bringing out from whatever hiding.
You know one of them. Who's the junior senator from Delaware that became a senator in 1973, 51 years ago? Your boy, you're the Chinese Communist ambassador to the U.S. Your boy. Joseph Robinette Zhedin, right? The Chinese ambassador squatting in the White House. He has actually 3 roles right now he's playing. He's a China's ambassador to the U.S. He's Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S., laundering and funneling all the Ukraine money, blood money that you talk about. And then number 3, he's Big Pharma's ambassador, blood money. Guess what? So right now, I'm basically Secretary of Retribution and Training. And what I mean by that is, as this deep state marauder, as I'm literally creating the list and identifying the link analysis of all these corrupt scum within the deep state and then their relations with the commies so that we can crush them as well, right? While I'm putting all that together, I'm probably going to be the best suited individual to be appointed as America's first Secretary of Retribution. And I have a whole plan of what that department's going to look like.
Is that realistic though? Because I was in the hall right now for CPAC, right, and I'm listening to them talk about, hey, we got to get rid of these commies, blah blah blah. Nobody is talking about retribution in terms of in this hall currently, but you do, which honestly, man, that is music to my ears. That's that's a language of romance right now, retribution, for most Americans that are pissed off and they want to see retribution. Do you think it's realistic, sir?
So some people call me I have different names that people, my nom de guerre is Deep State Marauder, but some of my closest friends have now called me the ball gardener. And what they mean by that is essentially, what does a gardener do? It's there to grow vegetables, right?
Yeah.
But a ball gardener is there to grow courage, meaning in the form of growing a pear, right? Balls. So I'm kind of America's ball gardener in the sense that the reason why I'm up at Capitol Hill and I'm interacting with all these House members, senators, politicians throughout the country, legislatures, governor candidates, etc., is to basically explain to them that you need to basically grow the necessary courage to maximally perform on the discretionary power and authority that you have in order to create retribution for these past transgressions going back 10 years to 2014. And that's really the inflection point that Mike Benz in that interview also addresses, in the sense that 2014, guess who was on the Ukraine crisis team in the Pentagon's National Military Command Center as a senior analyst advising our National Command Authority on what they should do, what was going on in eastern Ukraine, and what should happen in response. You're sitting in front of the guy, right? So then in that role, and additionally, as we were seeing what was going on, what I saw in that realm, but also what was publicly facing going on that I was monitoring was what? Oh, John Brennan, the former director of the CIA, goes over to Kiev under the cover of darkness. Russian media reports on it, outs him. And then what happens 2 weeks later after he meets with his counterpart in Ukraine in order to basically probably bring bags of cash and direction now that they just installed their new leader? So they went from Viktor Yanukovych, which was the president of Ukraine, ousted him via a coup while Russia was focused on the Sochi Olympic Games, and then they placed into his stead Petro Poroshenko. That coup was conducted by U.S. State, CIA, right? Director of the CIA. So he goes over there and is like, "Hey, good job, Petro Poroshenko. Congrats." And now let's move forward. Well, what does that moving forward look like? This is 2014, by the way. Well, next up, John Brennan tees up his boy, your boy that I talked about earlier, Joseph Biden, who was the failed vice president. And he was what? Wasn't he point man for Hussein on Ukraine? He was. For those that don't remember, this is a little historical context here we're at. So in 2014, we're like, this is early February, March timeframe now. April, your boy Biden goes over there, and then he has a meeting with Petro Poroshenko and Yevgeny Yatsenuk. I know all these names. Why? I was one of the lead analysts in our U.S. government to track this stuff. So I kind of know a little bit about what happened in Ukraine going back to 2014 better than most. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but damn, do you know any pundit that exists on any mainstream media platform that was in that role and position to be able to see and hear and absorb all levels of intelligence to the highest levels as it related to what was going on in Ukraine, eastern Ukraine? And then on top of that, do any of those analysts that had the same access, are they fluent in Russian and can read and understand Ukrainian to then absorb all the open source information that was out there? And then add on top of that, any of those remaining analysts that are in that space are publicly discussing what has been going on and rooting out and exposing the corruption in our government. Well, now you're down to one, right? So again, I'm not the smartest guy, but maybe a combination of my experience and access coupled with being a ball gardener, you have to lead by example, right? So then what does that look like? You speak truth to power. So 2014, what else was going on in 2014 that is so important to today? I'll tell you, because this is the right question to ask me. Who was the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency while I was a line analyst at the Defense Intelligence Agency working at the National Military Command Center? Michael T. Flynn. And guess what General Michael T. Flynn was doing as he was sitting you were sitting, imagine you're John Brennan, Jim Comey's over here, Clapper is over there, four of us, and I'm sitting in the spot of General Flynn. And we're testifying before Congress. And in that testimony, what happens? General Flynn speaks truth to power and says what? That ISIS thing ain't a JV team. And wait, what's going on over here in Ukraine? Wait, why is John Brennan in Ukraine? Hey, John, why are you in Ukraine? And why 2 weeks later, the vice president, Biden, is there? And oh, by the way, why is Biden talking to Petro Poroshenko and telling him, hey, buddy, we're going to go ahead and support you guys here in Ukraine and develop your economy in very unconventional ways, particularly the energy sector. And 2 weeks later, his son, Hunter Biden, is appointed to the board of Burisma, the largest energy company in Ukraine. Is that a coincidence?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
No, it's not a coincidence. He directed that. So then Hunter Biden gets his $1 million a year in his consulting. Why? What does Hunter Biden know about the energy sector? He was just basically joined the naval reserves to then get fired a day his first drill because he tested hot. Wow. He pissed hot for drugs after getting 2 waivers to get into the naval reserves, age waiver and a drug waiver. Who helped him get his waiver? His failed vice president dad. Okay? Follow along with me here, because this is important foundational understanding of the incestuous corruption.
Corruption is like, this sounds like some Soviet crap, dude. Like, literally, like Soviet.
Like the Brezhnev. I mean, you got Brezhnev basically equivalent sitting here, barely can form a sentence, right? In his late years, Brezhnev's like, right? Stroke after stroke after stroke. Anyhow, I'm not talking about Peter Strzok, not yet anyway, the guy that spied on Flynn. But anyway, 2014. So the sequence is Brennan tees up Biden, tees up his son Hunter so that 10% can go to the big guy, but yet Hunter is managing a joint account with his dad. So is it only 10%? Or is it 10% for the big guy coupled with everything going in to Hunter and Jim Biden? This is only Ukraine, folks. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, my critical thinking hat is on. And I'm thinking to myself, isn't that something special? Hunter Biden, what is he known for? I guess he's known for smoking crack and sniffing cocaine. How does that translate into being a good board member of an energy company? The only thing I could think of that would bring value to that company, other than obviously having the Biden name, but I'm talking about like substance, is his olfactory senses, meaning his ability to smell and sniff out potential oil and natural gas fields. Maybe his left nostril was able to pick up the scent of natural gas, like this.
I mean, I've heard it
And then maybe on the right side, he could sniff out oil fields that could help out Burisma to drill new unconventional ways.
Yeah.
That I present to you is the Biden criminal syndicate representative. And what did Joseph Biden do when he was out there during that trip? Well, if you're not going to fire
Yeah.
the general prosecutor Shokin, you're not getting the money.
Yeah.
Meaning, the foreign aid, they say it's foreign aid, the money that is stolen from the American taxpayer with no audit trail sent over to Ukraine so that some of that money bribes off Petro Poroshenko and his people in order to fire the only guy that's going to look at the corruption of Burisma, of which Hunter Biden is on the board of. Victor Shokin was the general prosecutor, meaning the guy that would prosecute and investigate the corruption of Burisma, the company, and then implicate Hunter Biden in that corruption scheme. Joseph Biden goes over to Ukraine and says, hey, you guys aren't getting the money, the aid package, unless you fire the only guy that can basically prosecute my son's involvement in Burisma. Once you do that, then you get the aid package. What do you call that? How would you summarize that in
So
one word?
I'm trying to figure out how this is not treason because corruption is one word, but like when you're actually working against the better interests of your country, I mean, am I stretching this? You tell me.
No, so America needs a secretary of retribution
Hmm.
because no one is. Some people kind of know it. Like I had a first and second row seat to all of this, and then like, well, people are like, why aren't you everywhere? Why no one else is talking about it? You tell me, because when I went on faux news for the first time with Tucker, guess what happened to him? He gets fired.
Wow.
Does Newsvax have me on? No, because then I'm going to call him out for what?
Not reporting this stuff like we're reporting right now.
For being on the receiving end of the censorship industrial complex, which we haven't even gotten to yet in this interview. And it all goes back to 2014. Hold that thought. So that's what was going on at the big level, at the strategic American level in Ukraine on the money laundering scheme, right? In order to provide money for the big guy, right? Now, it's not only the Bidens, right? Every single politician that is promoting and promulgating funding Ukraine in this war effort is also receiving some residue of those billions. Now, how is that, you're asking, right? Good question. It's because the Treasury sends money over to Ukraine. Ukraine then invests some of that money into, what's the name of that? FTX company?
Yeah, no way, dude.
And then guess what FTX does with it? Follow the blood money. That's your show, man. I had my team look into that. So then the money goes to FTX. Who's the CEO at the time? Sam Bankman Fried, right? And then where does he donate to when you look at the Federal Election Commission reporting? Democrat Party and Democrat Party PACs and leadership, Pelosi, Schumer. But then one thing that people fail to notice, what about the number two guy at FTX? Who's he? I'll tell you. Ryan Salame, Salame. My team looked into him. What about him and his parents? Where does that money go to? Republican PACs. Schumer PAC and Kevin McCarthy PAC. And where does that money go? That money goes between those two entities. They managed the pink trickle in 2022 in return for Kevin McCarthy taking the speakership between Pelosi and McCarthy. How do they manage the pink trickle? I'll give you some specific examples. You heard of Joe Kent in Washington's 3rd Congressional District that ran last cycle? Guess how much Kevin McCarthy's FTX Ukraine money pumped into his primary opponent and the general election against him so that he wouldn't win, so that the Republican wouldn't win the general election? Upwards of 12 to 13 million dollars in a congressional race. He lost that race by less than half a point amidst the 13 million that Kevin McCarthy pumped. From Kevin McCarthy voted to send money to Ukraine, and guess how they scratched his back for it? I just explained. Just in Joe Kent's race, because Joe Kent would have not voted for Kevin McCarthy to be the speaker. And I'm gonna give you some more examples. J.R. Majewski, heard of him in Ohio? Guess millions Kevin McCarthy through the FTX funded PAC went after J.R. Majewski, and he lost. You heard of Laura Loomer? Guess who funded the entire operation to prop up Dan
Against Loomer.
Wow. What about my good buddy in Virginia Beach, who was running for Congress? Jerome Bell. Millions of dollars against him. Who? Kevin McCarthy, to prop up his little girl that voted for him. In 2014 is when, so go a little bit before that, the Arab Spring was the first time that CIA, State Global Engagement Center, was able to, in a way, start to shape how to facilitate coups through online means. Okay? 2014, that capability became ripe in the foreign ecosystem. Okay? That then in 2016 turned into the United States under the guise of, I don't want to explain all the details behind that. Mike Benz is the best person to understand how that looked at an institutional level between CIA, State Department Global Engagement Center, and then some DoD entities. Okay. 14, the director of the DIA was Flynn. So that did not happen when he was the director. That capability started to present itself when John Brennan and Jim Clapper basically convinced Obama. Flynn's speaking too much truth to power. He's saying that the JV team ISIS isn't a JV team, and he's basically saying that the Iran deal, that's not so good, because the Iran deal was another money laundering scheme where pallets of cash were sent over to the mullahs in Iran, and who facilitated that? John Kerry. And John Kerry is probably going to be the one, if Trump is assassinated, you can bank on it that John Kerry's fingerprints are all over it. So 2014, Flynn's out because he's thrown out by several of the 51 that signed on to what we go to, Clapper and Brennan. And then what happens? Flynn goes over and knocks on a couple of doors of the. Remember, Flynn was a twice appointed Senate, 100% confirmed by Obama.
Yeah.
Right? So does anybody in the RNC or Republican Party trust him? No, at the time, right?
Interesting. Wow.
Does anybody within the Democrat Party trust him for speaking truth to power? No.
So he's hated by both parties. Yeah.
I just want people to understand, like, I had a front to second row seat since 2014 in everything that's related to deep state actions. And then people are like, well, why didn't you do anything? I'm going to tell you what I did. In 2014, when I observed what was going on, Russians in Ukraine, let's just say, I got to be careful how I say it so that I'm not violating anything, right? Would it have been appropriate for somebody to basically say, hey, Russia's not claiming those little green men in Donetsk and Lugansk. In that case, they should be considered terrorists and obliterated. Would that be something appropriate to say?
I think so, no?
I think that would have been something appropriate to say. I may or may not have said that. I have to frame it that way, okay? I may or may not have said that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if I say that I did,
Yeah.
then it gets into a gray area.
I get it, yeah.
So I'm not saying I did say that,
Yeah.
but I may or may not have said it.
Yeah.
Okay? And then what was the response by our senior National Command Authority? Secretary of Defense, Chairman of Joint Chiefs, President, when they're briefed on that. What happened? Did America do that? Did they obliterate all those little green men to stop the Ukraine, stop Russia from taking over Crimea? No. Do they have the political courage to? Did they have the political courage to do that?
America.
Yeah, they did. Did they have a capability to do that easily? So it comes down to you need a ball gardener. You need a ball gardener that has enough public support to demand that, and that's what we're lacking. And we're getting to the point where it needs to get painful enough to where men wake up and be like, "All right, you just crossed the line.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to stand up and I'm going to put you back in your place." Where it needs to approach that level, because I'm seeing that there's people standing up now, and the smackdown is gonna come, the retribution is gonna come, but it has to get a little bit worse before it gets to that point. 2014, 2016, the censorship industrial complex basically kicks in after Trump wins the election, right? And then they start to say, remember the hate speech? The word hate speech starts to come out. Never heard of that right before in my life. But it really started to pick up in November of 2018 after the House is flipped to the Democrats, and now big tech can do whatever it wants. Why? Isn't Nancy Pelosi a member of the Congress from Silicon Valley? Why, San Francisco? Yes, she is. And so what does that mean? Hey. So San Francisco, that's another one that probably he sent me 100,000 emails. 2018 is when the House flips Democrat, Pelosi starts to come into play, and then now what? Big tech can do whatever it wants. Because what? And that's when the censorship industrial complex started. That's when you start seeing Laura Loomer get banned. Alex Jones getting banned, right? Why? Elon Musk just realized it wasn't because he was doing anything related to Sandy Hook. It was because Oliver Darcy, little scumbag over at Criminal News Network, basically requested it. Because all the incestuous relationships that they have, they're just like, hey, boy, hey, Vem, why don't you go ahead and block or cancel this account? Why? Just do it.
I mean,
This is what stands up in 2018.
What?
That's at institutionally. DHS CISA is created. Guess who's the director of CISA at the time? That was hired on by Mike Pence. Chris Krebs. Remember the guy that said it was the most safe and secure election ever in the history of humanity?
Mike Pence already. I knew this was going to the
You got chills, right?
Wow. Okay. More like cold blood, but yeah.
All right, blood money. Let's stay on track here. So, two entities within our United States government were created to then create a censorship scheme instead of doing coups overseas to go ahead and do coups domestically. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, CISA, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And then what about the second one? FBI. Oh, so within CISA, you have a thing called the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force. And then at the FBI, you also have the Foreign Influence Task Force. And guess who the senior intel analyst is in 2018 at the FBI of that FIDF? A guy by the name of Supervisory Intelligence Analyst Brian Auten. Tell me you don't know him.
I don't know.
Perfect. I do. I've done the deep dive. Guess where he was before he was appointed to be in that position to counter foreign influence? By the way, that organization was created by Chris Wray.
By the way, I think you're conducting this interview amazing, bro. You're like the person asking the questions and answering the questions. So like, I might go to the bathroom.
I need a captive audience. I need the. Well, you're learning it just like the audience would be learning it, and I'm picking up on your nonverbals to determine where I need to go with this, right? Because I've done thousands of hours of research. I lived through this, right? So I need to know where you're at, which means where your audience is generally at, and then allows me to kind of develop the story of where I need to go. So
amazing information. I'm really enjoying it.
So Brian Auten, these are names. I get it. I name drop a lot of things, but this is the important part of shining light on these scumbags. Brian Auten. So the organization that Brian Auten went to the FITF, Foreign Influence Task Force, was created as a result of our intel community bought it. Well, I shouldn't say bought into, said that Russia. They impeded and elected Donald Trump, right? That was false. It's already been proven to be false. But two organizations were created to counter the false predicate. One I talked about at DHS, one at FBI, DOJ. And that one at FBI, DOJ, Chris Wray was the one that created it, the director of the FBI.
Well,
Right? He's busy.
how's Mike Lindell, by the way? Back there. How you doing, sir?
so, the he's got to move because he's on camera. He's awesome. He's awesome. He like 24/7 always. I got to keep up with him. So the Foreign Influence Task Force, created by Chris Wray, which was and still is the director of the FBI. Let me give you a little background on the FBI director before we go into Brian Auten, because this is important.
This is so fascinating, by the way, because these are like, this is the information we need to know on the mainstream level. Because people are like, people think, oh, like,
If this hits the mainstream, this whole scheme is over.
it's over.
So, Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, do you know that he was Chris Christie's attorney on Bridgegate?
Wow, wow. I did not know that.
Does that make sense why Chris Christie was running for president now? So, Chris Wray created this Foreign Influence Task Force, and he decides to appoint the senior intel analyst to be Brian Auten. Let's give a little bit of background on Brian Auten. Remember in 2016 in July, after Donald Trump secured the nomination, the RNC foisted Mike Pence on him?
Yeah.
Within 2 weeks, John Brennan works with Jim Comey, the previous director of the FBI, to launch a counterintelligence investigation. Well, first and foremost, John Brennan contacts his partners in London and Canberra to go ahead and say, hey guys, please start spying on the following Americans.
From London, England?
Carter Page.
From London, England, you said? Whoa.
And guess who was the chief of station for the CIA in London?
Wow. This idea of extra jurisdictional forces
Yeah, because
being
CIA
brought
can't do it.
in.
So he just asked his liaison partner
Bro.
in London.
You know, viewers
And
out
guess
there-
who the chief of station in London was?
Who?
Gina Haspel. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, it does actually. Who is
Gina Haspel later becomes the CIA director,
that? Wow.
appointed by Trump.
Wow.
I wonder why Trump appointed her. Does he have a clue of what's going on in the national security state based on his background as a real estate developer? No, but guess who would have been able to stop that? A guy by the name of Michael Flynn.
Wow.
They had to remove him first. He was and still remains, Flynn, the biggest threat to all of these uniparty unitards. It probably sounded something like this. Hey, Gina, go ahead and do it. This is John Brennan. Gina then works the CIA station liaison with her counterparts in MI6. MI6 deploys George Papadopoulos. Heard of him?
Yeah.
George Papadopoulos was one of the four in the Crossfire Hurricane investigation.
Okay.
Flynn, Manafort, Carter Page, and Papadopoulos. So what do? They used MI6 to bump him with a honey trap. To basically, they went after it and looked at every single person in the Trump campaign that had any foreign travel and that was going to be traveling, and they used as the vector, as the jurisdiction you talked about, to then say, hey, we're investigating their counterintelligence risk based on their foreign interactions. And we have to link it to Russia, because we have to legitimize the false Russia predicate. So then what do they do with Carter Page? They launch going back to Brian Auten. Brian Auten, back then, became the supervisory intelligence analyst for Crossfire Hurricane investigation.
Wow.
So the same Brian Auten that then wrote an assessment that was then used as inside of the Woods file, which is the file that's presented to a FISA court judge to spy on Carter Page, that assessment complete BS, lies. And in that included a lie from the CIA. Well, I should say one of the attorneys on Crossfire Hurricane, Kevin Kleinsmith, and all these names, man. Kevin Kleinsmith sends an email to his counterpart at CIA as part of this joint investigation into Trump, spying on Trump. And he asks, hey, was Carter Page an informant, or is he running like for the CIA? Like basically, did he when he went to Russia and did his oil deals? Did he come back to the CIA and report on that? The CIA said yes, he did it properly, all by the book. And then what did Kevin Kleinsmith do? He changed the email to say no, he didn't, and that was included in Brian Aughton's assessment of defraud, basically telling the FISA court, you need to authorize us the ability to spy on Carter Page. And what did that do? That then allowed the FBI to go ahead and do what's known as three hops. That means I can listen to everything and monitor everything you're communicating with, the person that you're communicating with, every single person, all of them, and then I can also spy on everybody that they're communicating with. One, two, three. So if you're Carter Page and you're communicating with people in the campaign, and then all those people that you're communicating with downstream from that, are you going to catch everybody in the campaign? Everyone. That's how they spied on the campaign. And the guy that started this at the FBI to basically falsify this was your boy Brian Aughton, who Christopher Wray appointed to later then head up the Foreign Influence Task Force to continue the cover-up. The Mar-a-Lago raid, just a little tangent. That was the raid conducted by the same people within the FBI that did the illegal Crossfire Hurricane, covered it up with the FIDF by creating the censorship industrial complex in big tech, that then did the same thing. They basically had to seize all the documents that Trump had declassified related to showing and proving what I'm talking about. It's literally cover up after cover up after cover, and it escalates. Their egregious illegal behavior escalates with each subsequent cover up because they have to take it to the next level.
Once you lie, the next lie and lie. One lie leads to.
No, but you have to force institutionally and censor stuff like what I'm talking about from getting out. So to close out the FBI component of this, because this also, January 6th is only one arc of this entire story that started in 2014. We'll get to that. That'll be the 21 aspect, right? But we're still kind of in this 2018 realm, right? So when the censorship started, you have Brian Aughton as the senior intel guy on Crossfire Hurricane, which was the spying on Trump. The senior ops guy initially was Joseph Pientka III. The general counsel for the FBI was Jim Baker. And then the senior director of counterintelligence was a guy by the name of Bill Priestap, Priestap. Okay? Remember the names. So Brian Aughton, like I told you, went from that to create the BS spying. He then went to the FIDF to then cover up the spying by saying that there's Russia, Russia, Russia. And then Joseph Pientka III, the ops guy, is sent over to San Francisco field office to be the senior counter intel dude there to help Brian Aughton coordinate with his other employee, Elvis Chan, who's been identified in the Missouri v. Biden lawsuit on censorship. And Jim Baker goes and becomes the number 2 attorney at Twitter. So the same 5 people that are working the spying on Trump then spread to the winds. At headquarters, Brian Aughton directs the censorship industrial complex internally with his buddies Pientka and Chan in San Francisco field office, who then tell Jim Baker to coordinate the whole censorship regime in Nancy Pelosi's district.
Wow.
Which is what? Ban Alex Jones. Ban Laurel Loomer. And you know what? Let's move to 2020. Who else do we need to ban?
Oh, thank you so much. You're very sweet.
Oh, wow. So let's close with this. The censorship industrial complex was spearheaded by these individuals. Now, I can go, like each one of these, I can probably do another 5 to 15 minute detailed deep dive on each of these names. and I have personal experience
Yeah.
that I can share that no one else can about each of these names. Because guess what? I live in Northern Virginia. I may or may not have accidentally bumped into or walked across or know where they live. I may or may not have knocked on their doors
Oh, I know, man. I love it. Thank you.
because it's only 20 minutes away from where I live. They want to do a soft knock or a hard knock against January 6th defendants.
Mhm.
Nothing stops me from doing a soft knock
Yeah.
and being very friendly and polite,
Yeah.
as I may or may not have accidentally bumped into them at the grocery store.
Oh man, you're funny.
I'm your future Secretary of Retribution, and I'm giving you names of who I'm going after.
Yeah, yeah.
When
And
I,
by the way, when you're Secretary of Retribution, I would love any position in your office, man. Anything you got going on, because I want to be around when that happens. I want to document the Secretary of Retribution doing his amazing work.
I'll have 3 divisions
Uh-huh.
in the Department of Retribution, and then I gotta go.
Uh-huh.
The first division is going to consist of the research arm.
Mhm.
You're not going to be part of that. That's going to be all J6 defendants, their attorneys, and family members.
Wow.
They're going to cover that research arm. The second division is going to be the action arm. Every single one of these military service members, law enforcement, and government officials that have experience in kicking down doors that were thrown out because of the illegal vax mandate, they get first dibs. Like your former SEAL team guys and operators. There's quite a few of them that I know that are ready, willing, and able to fill that division. And I always tell them, I want to be on the first guy in the stack on a few of these raids and swattings that we're going to do. But guess what? We need to be transparent in the interest of the public interest. We need to have a media arm. And that's where the third division comes into play. I need people out there tethered to the hip, kind of like, remember when Criminal News Network live streamed Roger Stone's raid? I need you and everybody here in this media row to basically be at the ready so that when I say, hey, we're going to action a target, let's just say Brian Auten, let's just say Hunter Biden, let's just say Ali Mayorkas, or Lloyd Austin, or Merrick Garland, or Jack Smith, or Fannie Willis, or Alvin Bragg. I need media coverage while my guys from Delta SEAL Team 6 retired go ahead and action what the research arm just provided them. The J6 defendants.
Wow.
Is that a Department of Retribution that you would?
It just sounds so beautiful. It sounds. I mean, after like 7 years of being tortured, this is like a dream come true. You know what I mean? How you
Say
doing?
hi,
How you doing?
Lexi.
Hey, what are you up to? Are you keeping?
Doing an impromptu live stream over here. But this is an amazing interview, guys. So make sure you tune in for part 2 of this. This is part 1. We're going to wrap this up with Ivan. I have a feeling there's going to be more than part 2. Like, we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. So I think there's going to be a 3-4-parter. But I will see you all on the next episode with Ivan, brother.
As Dr. Dre says, till the next episode.
The next episode, brother. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you. And really, thank you so much for doing what you do. American hero right here, guys.